Hello everyone, and welcome to this video where I'll be taking you through the OpenStax.org textbook called Prealgebra, the second edition. In particular, I'm going to be reading through part of section 1.1 called Introduction to Whole Numbers, and the part of this section with the heading Round Whole Numbers. Here we are at OpenStax.org, Prealgebra, second edition, section 1.1, Introduction to Whole Numbers, and the heading Round Whole Numbers. In 2013, the U.S. Census Bureau reported the population of the state of New York as 19,651,127 people. It might be enough to say that the population is approximately 20 million. The word approximately means that 20 million is not the exact population, but is close to the exact value. The process of approximating a number is called rounding. Numbers are rounded to a specific place value depending on how much accuracy is needed. 20 million was achieved by rounding to the millions place. Had we rounded to the 100,000s place, we would have 19,700,000 as a result. Had we rounded to the 10,000s place, we would have 19,650,000 as a result, and so on. The place value to which we round to depends on how we need to use the number. Using the number line can help you visualize and understand the rounding process. Look at the number line in figure 1.7. Suppose we want to round the number 76 to the nearest 10. Is 76 closer to 70 or 80 on the number line? So here in figure 1.7, we can see that 76 is closer to 80 than to 70. So 76 rounded to the nearest 10 is 80. Now consider the number 72. Find 72 in figure 1.8. They point it out here with a little blue dot. And in figure 1.8, we can see that 72 is closer to 70 than it is to 80. So 72 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70. But how do we round 75 to the nearest 10? Find 75 in figure 1.9. So there it is. See, it's exactly midway between 70 and 80. So that everyone rounds the same way in cases like this, mathematicians have agreed to round to the higher number, 80. So 75 rounded to the nearest 10 is 80. All right, again, even though it is just as close to 70, all right, but that'll be the standard. 5 or greater, the midway point, we will round. Now that we have looked at this process on the number line, we can introduce a more general procedure. To round a number to a specific place, look at the number to the right of that place. If the number is less than 5, round down. If it is greater than or equal to 5, round up. So, for example, to round 76 to the nearest 10, we look at the digit in the ones place. So the tens place has 7, the ones place has 6, and notice they are telling us here that 6 is greater than 5, or greater than or equal to 5, right? It's 5 or greater. The digit in the ones place is a 6. Because 6 is greater than or equal to 5, we increase the digit in the tens place by 1, right? This is the rounding up portion of the procedure. So the 7 in the tens place becomes an 8. Now replace any digits to the right of the 8 with zeros. So 76 rounds 80. And if pointed out here again, right? You have 7 in the tens place, 6 in the ones place, which was 5 or greater. So we add 1 to the 7 in the tens place to the next highest 10, making an 8. And then anything after that becomes replaced with zeros. 76 rounded to the nearest 10 is 80. Let's look again at rounding 72 to the nearest 10. Again, we look at the ones place, right? The place that's directly to the right of the tens place. So the tens place has 7, and then the one to the right of it, the ones place is 2, which is smaller than 5, less than 5. So we'll round down. The digit in the ones place is 2. Because 2 is less than 5, we keep the digit in the tens place the same and replace the digits to the right of it with 0. So 72 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70. Once again, a little diagram here showing what's happening. Tens place is 7, ones place is 2, which is less than 5. So the tens place does not change. You do not add 1, so it remains 7. And then you replace the 2 with a 0. Anything after that, and after the tens place, the place you're rounding to, replace it all with zeros. So 72 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70. So now we have this how-to box, putting it all together, describing the procedure. How to round a whole number to a specific place value. Step 1. Locate the given place value. All digits to the left of that place value do not change unless the given place value is a 9, in which case it may. See step 3. Step 2. Underline the digit to the right of the given place value. And step 3. Determine if this digit is greater than or equal to 5. If it is greater than or equal to 5, the answer is yes to that question. Add 1 to the digit in the given place value. If that digit is 9, replace it with 0 and add 1 to the digit immediately to its left. If that digit is also 9, repeat. If the answer is no, right, the digit you are looking at to the right of the place you're rounding to, if that's less than 5, do not change the digit in the given place value. Step 4. Replace all digits to the right of the given place value with zeros. So it seems like a lot of steps, but hopefully easy to follow. We'll be seeing several examples and try it problems related to this. So I'll go through this procedure with example 1.8. We're asked to round 843 to the nearest 10. Right, so I'll write this out. So the number we're given is, 843, 843, and we are asked to round to the nearest 10. All right, so I'm going to locate the tens place, which is here. Right, you get the ones, the tens, the hundreds. So here's the tens. So I locate, so that was, step one. Locate the given place value. All the digits to the left of that place value do not change unless the given place value is a 9. And again, they said it might, and read back through those steps. All right, then, step 2 was underline the digit to the right of the given place value. So here's the one we're given, round to the nearest 10. So the digit directly to the right of that is in the ones place. And then the question becomes, is this digit to the right of the tens greater than or equal to 5? Well, it is not. It is less than 5, meaning we're going to be what they call it rounding down. So if the answer is no, like it is here, do not change the digit in the given place value. So now I'm going to round. This given place value digit will not change. And it was mentioned earlier, if this is, if we rounded up and this was a 9, then the 8 would change, but we're rounding down, so the stuff to the left of the tens will not change either. So that will stay an 8 in the hundreds place. And then finally, step 4, replace all digits to the right of this given place value with zeros. So to the right of the tens here, we have 840. And here we go. 843 rounded to the nearest 10 is simply 840. And that's all. I'll be doing this a little faster, but going through the same steps every single time. And of course, with the examples, you can show, hide solution, see the solution. They go through all the steps I just described here. Rounding 843 to the nearest 10 gives you 840. All right. Then you have, after examples, very often you will see these try it problems. I've mentioned this in previous videos. Please, take a moment, pause the video, and actually do what it says. Try it yourself before you watch me do it. And come back when you're done and, see how I do it and see how you're getting along, right? See how well you're grasping the material. So try it 1.15. We're asked to round to the nearest 10 again. I'm sure we'll get to other decimal places than the 10 coming up. And the number we're given is 157. All right, so I'll just stick to the same page here. So try it 1.15. We're asked to round 157. So I'll put the word round here. Right, round 157 once again to the nearest 10. So like before, I point out, which of these digits is in the tens place. That's this 5 here. Then they were underlining the digit in the place to the right of it. And then asking, is that digit in the place to the right of our given decimal place, 5 or greater? Well, this is greater than 5, right? Greater than or equal to 5. It is 7. And in that case, right, when you have a digit greater than or equal to 5, we're going to do what's called, rounding to the nearest 10, or nearest whatever decimal place we're doing. All right, so in that case, when the digit to the right is greater than or equal to 5, the tens digit, right, the given decimal place we're asked to round to the nearest place at, that nearest place, add 1 to it. And if it were a 9, it would become 0, and then I'd add 1 to the next place over. And if that were a 9, it becomes 0, and add, and they said repeat that. But there are no 9s here. So 5 becomes 6 in the tens place. All the digits, since that wasn't a 9, all the digits before that stay the way they are. So still a 1 in the hundreds place. And then all the digits to the right of our place that we're rounding to are zeros. So here we are, 157 rounded to the nearest 10 would be 160. Okay, now you can't see the answer in the reading, but you can go to the table of contents. You've seen me do this in previous videos, hopefully. There is an answer key, right? We are in chapter 1. Now, this isn't a be prepared problem. This is a try it problem, and it was try it 1.15, and you see 160. Great. And then I click on the number there, and it takes me right back to the reading, but not to the problem. All right, so let me scroll back up. But it is still in the correct section at least. So I scroll back up. There's try it 115. All right. So try it 1.16. Asked to do that again. All right. Round to the nearest 10 once again. All right, so I'll write this out. The number is 884. So here's 884. And once again, we're asked to round this number to the nearest 10 again. So you got the ones is a 4, and then this digit here is in the tens place, right? This first 8 coming from the right. This 8 that I'm pointing at now is in the hundreds place. Then, just to be consistent, follow the steps we were given. I underline the digit directly to the right of that place, so the 4 in the ones place there. And that is not greater than or equal to 5, right? That is less than 5, meaning we're going to round down. So in the round down case, we don't change our tens place, the place we're rounding to, at all. So that stays an 8. Anything before it stays the way it is. So there's also this 8 still in the hundreds. And then anything to the right of the place we're rounding to becomes 0. So 884 rounded to the nearest 10 rounds to 880. 880. Let's double check that again. Always good to check your work. So back to the chapter 1 and the answer key. Try at 1.16, 880. Wonderful. Let me go back to the reading. All right, then after try at 1.16, there is example 1.9, where finally we're asked to round to some other decimal place besides the tens. So we're given two numbers here, two different parts. and asked to round each number to the nearest hundred. The nearest hundred. All right, so part A. I'll just write this stuff out. We'll stick to the same paper. Don't want to waste too much paper. So now I'm asked to round this number. All right, part A is 23,658, but round to the nearest hundred this time. All right, so remember the places. So the 8 on the right is in the ones, the 5 is in the tens, and then this 6 is in the hundreds place. So that's the place I'm focused on. All right, then again, following all the steps that were outlined, I'm going to underline the place directly to the right of that. So I underline this 5 in the tens place, and that is 5 or greater. Right? It is greater than or equal to 5. So we're going to do what's called, rounding up. So the 6 in the hundreds place becomes a 7. And we're going to add one of this, bump it up to the next hundred. So 600 becomes, 700. That wasn't a 9, so don't worry about changing the digits before it to the left of it. So it's still 23,000. And then all the digits to the right of the one we're rounding to become zeros. So 0 in the tens, 0 in the ones. And there you have it. Right, so 658 rounds, to the nearest hundred, rounds to 23,700. And then part B was the same thing, round 3,978 to the nearest hundred. So again, I locate the digit in the hundreds place, which is this 9 here. Right, that's in the hundreds. Sorry about the tiny writing. Underline the digit to the right of it in the tens place. This 7, which is 5 or greater, meaning we're going to round up. Or finally, we get an example where when I round up, and the digit in the place I'm rounding to is a 9. So when we round up, and I do a add 1 to this, well, 9 plus 1 is 10, but you can't write 2 digits in one place. So there are 10 hundreds, which is 1,000. So 9, when I add 1 to it, becomes, 10. So I'm going to write 0 in that place, and then add the 1 to the next place higher, right? The next place left, making 3,000 into 4,000. So basically 39 here becomes 40, right, after adding 1. So now I have 4,000, and then again after this rounding up or rounding down step, all the digits to the right of the place we rounded to are zeros. So 0 in the tens, 0 in the ones. And there you go. So 3,978 round to the nearest hundred is 4,000. Okay. Again, let's check it out and look at their solution here. Right, part A, they do all the same steps, right? Rounds to 23,700, exactly what I had. Part B rounds to, 4,000, exactly what I had. Beautiful. All right, so let's do the nearest 100 a couple more times. Okay, so the try it 1.17. Once again, we're asked to round to the nearest 100. All right, so this number, 17,852. Again, I know I didn't write the word round, but when they say, to the nearest 100, hopefully you understand what they're talking about. So as before, the decimal place we are given here is the hundredths place, which is the 8. All right. So I'm focused on the 8. That's in the hundredths place. I'm going to underline the digit in the place directly to the right of it, in the tens place. This is 5 or greater. So we're going to round. And again, it's kind of I'm doing this a little more quickly. And because this is 5 or greater, I'm going to add 1 to this hundreds place. So a little +1 here. 8 plus 1 is 9. And then all the digits before it won't change to the left of it. So it's 17,009, and then, zeros after it. 17,900. Or try it 1.17. Let's verify that once more. Always check your work if you are able. And then so you try it 117, 17,900. Excellent. All right. Then try it 1.18. Again, we're asked to round to the nearest 100. So we write this up. This is the number 4,951 to the nearest 100 again. All right, so once again, I'm pointing out the digit in the hundreds place, which is this 9 here. That's in the hundreds place. I underline the digit in the place directly to the right of it. And this again is 5 or greater. So just like the previous example, we're once again going to be rounding up, meaning going to be adding 1 to this 9. Now that'll become 10. You don't write 10. So basically it's like adding 1 to the 49, turning that into 50. All right, again, that'll become 10, putting the +1 over the next spot, over the thousands place, and then 4 plus 1, is 5. And so I have 5,000, right? Again, pretty much it's like having 49 add 1 become 50. It only happens when there's a 9 and you're rounding up. That kind of stuff will happen. And then the digits to the right of this place where I'm rounding are zeros. 0 in the tens, 0 in the ones. And there we have it, 4,951 rounds to the nearest 100 as 5,000. And once more, I'm going to verify chapter 1, try it 1.18, and you see it is 5,000. Great. Back to the reading. All right, then after try at 1.18, we're getting into example 10. All right, so we've rounded to the nearest 10, rounded to the nearest 100. It looks like these last examples we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, right? So we're going to the thousands place. So in example 1.10, once again, there are 2 parts to it. We'll do both. And I'll write it quickly again, like the last couple try it problems. So we have 147,000 32, right? So 0, 3, 2 for this ones period. And we're asked to round to the nearest 1,000 this time. So I locate the digit in the thousands place. So you got ones, tens, hundreds. There we are. All right. The 7 is in the thousands place. I underline the digit directly to the right of that in the hundreds place. This is 0, definitely less than 5. So we're going to now be rounding down. Remember, rounding down, I don't do anything to that place that we're rounding to. 7 will stay 7. And the digits before it to the left stay 1 and 4. So we still have 147,000. And then the digits to the right of this are all becoming zeros. So this 147,032 rounded to the nearest, the closest thousand is 147,000, right? Because and this is closer to 147,000 than it is to 148,000 if you were looking at the number line, the number line demonstration from earlier in the reading. And you can always put a number line picture to go along with this if you want. Not necessary though. Part B, 29,504. To the nearest thousand. So is this closer to 29,000 or 30,000? And because this is more 500 or greater, or more than halfway, this will round to 30,000, we'll see. But I'll still write out, I'll go through the procedure one more time. And after a bunch of practice, you should be able to tell pretty quickly without doing all this writing. Anyway, nearest thousand. This 9 is in the thousands place. I underline the hundreds place. This is 5 or greater. Okay, so we're going to round up. So that means I'm adding 1 to my thousands place. That'll make this into 10. Which will add 1 to the next place, turning that 1 plus 2. And so there's 1 plus 2 in the 10,000s, right? Again, basically 29, add 1, you get 30. So 29,000 becomes 30,000 when I round up, and all the digits after that are zeros. So 29,504 to the closest thousand. It's nearest to 30,000. It's closer to 30,000 than it is to 29,000 on the number line. And let's double check that. Go and see what they have here, right? Now, part A, 147,000, like I had. Part B, 30,000, exactly what I wrote. Great. Okay. And then the try-its. Okay, try at 1.19 and try at 1.20. Once again asked to round to the nearest 1,000. All right, so try at 1.19. We're given the number 63,921. Now again, after a while, if I say, round this to the nearest 1,000, you should be able to, with a bunch of practice, tell me what it is without having to write all this stuff I've been writing. Is this number closer to 63,000 or 64,000? Well, since this number here is 500 or more, you're more than halfway to 64,000. It's closest to 64,000 than it is to 63,000. So this will end up being, 64,000 when I'm done. But yeah, there's the thousands place, this 3-digit. The digit right to the next, directly to the right of that in the hundreds place, the 9. That is 5 or greater. So we're going to round up. And by rounding up, we add 1 to our thousands place, turning it into 4. The digits to the left of that don't change. So that's 64,000 and three, zeros to the right. All right, so like I said earlier, this is closer to 64,000 than it is to 63,000, right? So we round to 64,000. And let's double check that, right? Even though I'm pretty certain we're correct. Yeah, try it. 1.19, 64,000. Fantastic. And finally, try it 1.20. Another one where we're asked to round to the nearest thousand. Again, you might look at this and tell me it's closer to 156,000 than it is to 157,000 because 437 is under 500. Right? On the left half. We're closer to 156,000 than we are to 157,000. But still, I'll write it out. So 156,437 to the nearest, once again, to the nearest thousand. Right, so they're telling us to the nearest thousand. So where's the thousands place? That's this 6 digit is in the thousands place. Underline the one directly to the right of that in the hundreds place here. This is less than 5, so we round down. Meaning, you don't add 1 to the thousands place, so 6 remains 6. And the digits to the left of that don't change, so it's still 156,000. And then zeros to the right of that, 0 in the hundreds, 0 in the tens, 0 in the ones. So like I was saying, right, that's closer. If you're going to the closest thousand, that number we were given is closer to 156,000 than it is to 157,000. Verify this. Try it 1.20, 156,000. Fantastic. And then at the very, very end of this reading, there is a media section, which I'm not going to take you through. This is just access to additional online resources, right? So other videos, other resources related to this topic. All the topics here from section 1.1, Introduction to Whole Numbers. So you see they have links to determining place value and link to write a whole number in digits from words, which, we did in previous videos on this section. Great, and that does it for the reading and the new material in section 1.1. And thank you very much for watching.